Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's having a good day. I've got Joe's Chrysler's 2013 Chrysler 200 back in. Got a lot of parts from Rock Auto. We got some engine mounts, got some front rear brakes, got inner and outer tie rod ends coming, and both side axles are coming today. So if you have one of these cars, and I'm going to try to put it in a playlist on my channel, so like cars that I do a lot of work to, if you have one of these cars, everything I'm going to do to it, I'm going to have on the same part of the channel on the playlist. And come on back. This car lives across the alley. I'm sure Joe and Angie wouldn't mind me anything if you need to know where a wire goes, or you need any live data or on what things are supposed to look like on your car. If you do have a scan tool, something like that, it's always around. Hopefully we're going to keep it on the road for them for a little while. So I'm going to jack up the back, do the back brakes. I do have them today. I'm hoping in the mail the axles will come, but we're going to get the motor mounts on. He needed two and was able on Rock Auto to get a kit, all four of them for the price of two. So, it works out whenever you do an online order like that. The Detroit axle stuff, it's as good as the parts store stuff, like, the store brand stuff. A lot cheaper, gets you a lot more bang for your buck. I've used it before, and no real complaints. All right, guys, I'm going to jack up the back and start with the back brakes, let you know what tools you need and where everything's at. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I always, before I do anything, just put a little bit of PB Blaster around the hub sill there. It doesn't do much. If you do it the night before, it does more to help get this off, but usually we're going to have to hit it with a hammer, but no big deal. The first thing you're going to see, these are 14 millimeters. There's an upper and a lower caliper bolt. And the upper, you could see, it looks like a socket won't get in there, but that's okay. We're going to just take off the bottom one, then the whole caliper will slide out. It's 14 millimeter. You could use a wrench on it, a ratchet, everything fits in there. I use this little electric one just to make life easy. Then if I could hold this and slide it, you just pick the caliper up, and once it clears the rotor like that, you just pull it out like that. And you put it aside. I have the caliper hook I'm going to get. I just hang it from there. You can use coat hanger, zip tie, anything you want. Just keep it out of the way. You just don't want it dangling on that hose, or whenever you're hitting the rotor to knock it off of there, to have the caliper come down, pull on the hose for you. All right, let me get the hook on it, and then I'll show you how to get the rotor off if it's stuck on like that. Yeah, as far as rear brakes go, these are pretty straightforward to get off. On some brakes, you have to take this caliper mount off. It's two more bigger bolts in the back. But on these Dodges, the rotor comes off without having to take a sprocket off. So it kind of saves you a step. And what you want to do if it's stuck, you want to hit the rotor in between the studs, just to break the rust loose. Just like that. And take her out. And one thing, some rotors come with this rubber plug. That's for the self-adjuster for the emergency brake shoes. There's another set of shoes in here. So if you take this rotor off and you see these are grounded, these are for your emergency brake. This is for your brake pedal. But spray these off with some brake clean, get all the dust off of them, check them out. These ones look pretty good for now. Springs are all there, not broken, nothing rattling around on the inside of the rotor, so we're good. But some of the rotors don't come with that rubber plug, so you want to make sure you don't get rid of that. And just take off the hardware in here. That's the little metal pieces. They'll come with your brake pads. And you put them back in like that, and then put the pads on. Well, get some brake clean, soak it down, and then we'll get the new rotor and put it on. Check your old rotor before you get too far going around. Check it with the new one. As we could see, that plug does not come with the new one. Flip them upside down. Make sure you got the right diameter. Make sure these are about right, because there's some a little bit different, but I ordered straight using Detroit Axle's website. I didn't get these off eBay. I went to their website, put in the car, the model, everything. There's a couple different kind of brakes, but so far, you know, going off the information from their website, this has been right. And we'll see if the whole job goes right with the order from them. But, you know, Detroit Axle, if you need stuff in a pinch, I mean, it's pretty good stuff for, you know, decent price, especially if you need a lot of things at once, so the price could just be overwhelming. I think this whole kit for front and back brakes was like $140, $130, something like that. But you get all 4 slotted rotors and all 4 brake pads, or all front and back brake pads. So it's a pretty good, you know, brakes all the way around. It's a pretty good deal for that much money. If you go to a parts store, you might be, you know, $50, $60 a rotor. You're $250, $300 by the time you walk out of there, so it's about half the price. All right, guys, I'm going to take this back over there and we'll put it on and put the new pads on and put the caliper back on. You just get a can of brake clean. Doesn't matter what kind you get, chlorinated or non-chlorinated. You don't go hog wild, but you just want to spray in there, get all the dust, dirt off. Any pieces of rust we might have just knocked off of there, taking an old rotor off. Get them all out of your emergency brakes. You can see the paint on them now. Stuff works pretty good and you don't have to use a super ton. But I'm going to get a wire brush. You could have wire brush, sandpaper, anything you want. Just this hub in between the lug nuts and around the edge where that rotor was sticking a little bit. You just want to clean it up with whatever you got. A little wire brush works perfect. Then I'll put either fluid film, chassis lube, anything you want on this seal here. Kind of helps the rotor come off next time easy, and, you know, keeps it lubricated up. You could use silicone, not the kind of RTV silicone, but the brake glide silicone. You can put anything in there. It's going to just keep rust from forming a lump in there and make it seem like your tire's out of balance. Right, these brushes, they're only about, I think $1.20, $1.30 at Harbor Freight. What you just want to do is just get all the rust off the hub flange. You don't have to get it super shiny. You want to get it good enough that if there's any rust, like you could see in here, there's a little rust. I can even feel it's a little bit higher than the rest of it. That's the kind of stuff you want to Then what I do, like I say, you could even just use something out of a grease gun, chassis lube, anything like that. I just go around with a little bit of fluid film. This can's about had it. Just anything you put on there, just spread it around, and then we'll put the rotor on it. I'm going to grab a little brush, spread that around, and get another can. Alright, next thing you want to do is the new pads. They come with new hardware where the pads ride up against the caliper anchor. Just take these off. Some of them are different. These Chryslers are the same clip, but just take it off, and I always just hold it and match it up. Make sure you got the right clip facing the right way. Then take the wire brush. You can just knock anything in there you see out. Then you could take a little brake grease, whatever you have. The Detroit axle set, they did give, there's some brake grease. You could use that. And here, if you don't have chassis lube, you could use what they come with. That's what goes on caliper pins and on the back of the pad. So they supply that. You don't have to get your own. Some do, some don't. Most don't. So that's like an add-on that you have to get. So it's kind of nice to throw that in there on a lower end set of brakes. think I charge you $1.50, something like that at the parts store for it. So it's one less thing you got to buy, and you need 2 packs. One for the front, one for the back if you're doing all. Now you could put a little tiny bit of grease in there. You could use a silicone for there. The thing with either of them is they attract dirt. Dirt sticks to them. So you just want to put a little bit in there just for lubricating the pads as they go on. Just like one little dab on both. And that'll keep your pads sliding. Alright, let me get the pad, and it's always easier. You could put the inner pad in on from behind with the rotor on, but whenever you have the rotor off, it's easier just putting the pad in from the front. May as well take it and make it as easy as you can. Actually, before I put the pad in there, I'm going to compress the piston, push the piston back into the caliper, rather than just using a C-clamp. You could use a woodworking style if you have to. These are pretty small calipers. But you just put the pad in there either forwards or backwards. Put the C-clamp on the back and just twist. Then the piston goes back in like that. I could have put the pad in first, but if you're going to be moving this around here, you don't want to take your time putting your pad in and the caliper hits it and knocks it off. So it's just making sure that you're not doing the same work twice. When I'm out at the pin on the back, you sit down with a little bit of brake clean. Clean them up. If they're pitted, you could wire wheel them, or if they're really bad, you could, get these at the parts store online. The caliper slide pins. Let's get the other one, do the same thing. Just give a little spray. And wipe. Now the grease, the silicone, the slide glide, that's their Sil Glide, that's with the preferred lubricant to put on these, and it comes with a little packet of them. And I'll show you how to put that on after I put the pad in there. And you don't want to grease your pads up before you handle them. You could instinct, whenever you get your brake pads out, you want to put the grease on the back, smear a little bit of grease. That's for the sound. And then you put them on there and you get grease all over your hands, and you get dirt all over them. So what I like to do is put them in dry and then lubricate, put the lubricant on the back before I put the caliper on. I'll show you what I mean. So this is the part I prefer them not to be greased already, is whenever you put them in slots, you're going to push down and push it in like that. But I don't want to be smearing that grease everywhere that you put on the back. You stick a little on your finger and you slide it on the back, but it's almost everybody wants to do it first and then try to handle the pads. This just keeps a lot of dirt off of other things you touch, and then touch the grease while you're trying to get them on. Works out a lot better that way for me anyway. But I'm going to get the rotor, put it on there. I'll show you, put the outer pad on, and then you'll just put the caliper back together the way we took it apart. Yeah, let's check the rotor for fit. Fits pretty good. That's where we left off, and then you slide the rotor over it. And then this is a little bit of the caliper grease. Let's take out and put a little on the back of the pad on this one. I like getting it around where these metal clips hold. Just a little like that. And then this one, you could see the slots on the caliper. They're like wedges. If you just pull these tabs back a little bit and push down, they go into the holes in the caliper like that. Now, this is the time whenever I take, whenever you're using the lubricant, that's whenever I like to use it all. Well, not all in the pack, but everything that you're going to grease at once. If you do it at different times, you're going to get this stuff all over everything. So if you just go for it at once, get it out of the way, Save it to the end. And then this one, I'll show you about how much you use on the pad. And that's more than enough. This tube lasts you 2 sides. So always make sure you got about half left when you're done. And just smear it on the back of that pad. Help it along these ones. And then I have it on this pin. Then the same way we took it off, we're going to just stick the top pin back in there, like that. Then we're going to slide the rotor down. And then we're going to put, well, let me put a little bit more grease on this pin here. The bottom one always is the one that locks up on you, and that'll chew your inner pad off really quick. Once you get them in like that, and then just tighten your 114mm bolt down here, and then this one didn't move at all, so you don't have to tighten it because you can't get nothing in there. You'd have to take the brake line off to tighten this bolt. So just the one you loosen, tighten it back up, and then your brake job for this side's done. You could torque them, but just make sure they're good and tight. You don't want to snap them, but make sure they're good and tight on there. These bolts, the ones that hold the bracket on, you definitely want to torque if you took them off, but Dodge made it nice for us on this model, and you could just take them off like that, and you don't have to take the anchor off. Now I'm going to get the rubber plug out of the other rotor, put that back in for them, and this side's done. The other side's going to be the same as this side. If I run in anything different or something different I have to do, I'll show you. But then I'll be back for the front brakes, and then we have some engine mounts, we have some axles, we have tie rod ends, inner tie rod ends, outer tie rod ends. We have a bunch of stuff to do to it. So, but I said, instead of being redundant and doing both sides, you know, they're identical.